Hello, welcome, super excited for today's video, and I hope you guys are too. Basically, for today, I'll be giving my go at building a futuristic research laboratory. Alright, for today's build, I'm calling it the Lunatic Research Facility. This time, I'm trying something new, focusing mainly on a futuristic slash sci-fi aesthetic. This build is mostly intended to be decorative, though it is pretty fun to run around in, not gonna lie. The building time was roughly 17 hours total. Insane. So, first and foremost, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that I haven't posted a video in a very long time. Probably one of my longest breaks I've had on the channel, and I haven't had a break in quite a while. Some things came up in real life, including school starting, trying to get a job, which didn't end up working out, some time with family, and just other things that ended up happening. Been trying to focus more on different things, a few projects came up, and I haven't had as much time as I would have liked to work on videos. But I want to thank all of you guys for really supporting me during this break, and even before this break, and those of you who continue to support me. Really meant a lot to me, and I just wanted to thank you guys for that, first and foremost. Moving on, I want to mention this is something that's been requested, asked about, I've talked about before, but world downloads. I'm not sure if other worlds or other builds that I've done in the past are going to be put up for download. That's a possibility. No promises. I do want to address that this build is going to be up for download, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to talk a bit more about that and how you can download it. Now on to the build. For the building section, I'll be using Cheat Sheet and Heroes mod. Both are available on Tmod Loader as always, and I just want to mention, for this build, for most of it, I am using updated Tmod Loader, updated Cheat Sheet, updated Heroes mod, but for furniture clipping, I'm using an older version of Cheat Sheet, Heroes mod, and Tmod Loader. That's a bit complicated to do if you don't already have it figured out. I'm not going to be able to help anyone else do that, but for those of you who want to do furniture clipping but aren't able to do these with the mods or don't have it set up, I do suggest T-Edit. That's an easy that's an easy alternative that I use still. Finally, we can proceed onto the building. So, because of the sheer size of this build and the recording, the time-lapsing bit is going to be a bit different. Part of this build is montage. I'm not sure if that's the right wording, but for the most part, it's a time-lapse, and I kind of have it cut up into different chunks. The chunks that I'm using, I'm hoping are more interesting, important parts of the build, and then I tried to cut out the more unimportant parts of the build to try and condense it a bit, because I could have sped up 17 hours of recording into 10 minutes of recording, but that would have left you guys with just a blur. I didn't think that'd be too entertaining and would have probably given some of you a headache. I do hope that that doesn't take away from the build though. That's one thing I was worried about. I know some of you really enjoy watching it from start to finish. I've seen other speed builders, people doing time lapses, and I've seen them do montages but also do it sped up. I genuinely enjoy both ways, but this is my first time attempting this and I'm not sure if I executed that properly. Now, my experience on building this build was phenomenal. I've gotten so much from it. The build itself is kind of big. I'm not too happy with the clutter that's going on. I would have liked it to be a lot cleaner, but I've learned a lot from it. I've learned a lot of futuristic techniques and very happy with the whole thing. I've gotten a lot of comments, and a lot of you have wanted me to do builds like this for a long time. I've tried, but I haven't so far because I've been struggling with it. I've tried smaller builds, larger builds. I've gotten a little bit through and then kind of dropped them because I just couldn't get it down. So I was really happy to be able to do this build because after doing this, I've learned so much, and I definitely feel more comfortable doing a build like this in the future. I thought I'd talk about something that's not really related to the build, and that is this break that I've been on. A lot has happened which you guys may or may not be interested in. I know I haven't streamed in a long time either, but I'll be streaming soon, so no worries. One of the things, which I'm not sure if you guys know about, if you've been following the channel for a while, you've probably heard of me talking about it, but I have a turtle. Her name is Sheena, and she is awesome. Over this break, I've been really focused on revamping her enclosure. Over the weekend, me and my dad worked on constructing a basking area which goes over the top of the tank. She absolutely loves it. She's been spending a lot of time up there, enjoying it, which is unusual for her because she doesn't usually bask that much, so that's been a cool thing. I've also ordered a lot of aquarium supplies, so I'm going to be working on overhauling her tank even more, but as well as that, I've always been fascinated by aquariums, nature, things like that, so recently decided to get into that hobby. Like I said, I'm going to work on all those things, working on setting up some smaller aquariums, and have already set up some smaller terrariums. So those have just been some side projects I've been working on. The room over to the left was pretty fun to work on. That's where I really got into furniture clipping and experimented with that the most. I was using the Martian clock, some pet cages, and tried pushing that together. That had a huge impact on the build as well because I was using a lot of different furniture clipping and stuff similar to that from this point on moving forward. One thing I realized, and I had a bit of fun with the furniture, was looking up references. I had a bit of a hard time figuring out how to decorate each room, and decided a really good way to do that is to go online, look up different things. I kind of went with like a sci-fi laboratory, something like that, and got some inspiration. There's definitely tables and chairs which actually made a lot of sense, different canisters. For the canister, I actually thought it'd be cool to use firework rockets because they kind of looked like that. What I did was basically sketch them out into a 2D image, something that would fit pretty well in Terraria. It's kind of hard to take a 3D image and match it right into Terraria, but it's a bit easier if you sketch it out first. What I was going for on the bottom section, which I'm not sure if I got across too well, was a window looking into a room which was essentially the same as was going on the top floor, which was like, you know, some kind of containment unit with, I had a snail in it since I thought it looked kind of cool, alienish. Hopefully I got that across. I really like how it came out, but it looks a little odd. Whether it looks like that or something else, still looks cool, and I'm happy with that. One of my regrets on this build is not spending more time where the Lunatic cultists are. I really think I could have made that the most spectacular part of the build, but I didn't know how to do that without making it too cluttered, and I don't think it would have been worth the time at this point since I was kinda eager to finish this up. So this wasn't planned, this section over to the right. Originally, I was happy with the build, but I felt like it was unlively, if that's a good descriptor of it. I wanted to extend the build, and eventually I would actually love to come back to this build and do an underground portion. I wasn't going to push myself for that this time. I've already spent enough time on this, but I thought I'd just settle with the side over to the right, which I really love how it came out. I think it adds a lot to the build. I don't think it would have been the same without it. Some of the rooms in this and the decor I got to mess around with were some of my favorite parts of this build, and sometimes that's just how it goes. You probably have noticed the build over to the left has not what it was before. I tried to separate the recording of me working on the right side of the build and the left and separate them so you didn't have to jump back and forth. I feel like that would have been headache inducing. It's a little bit awkward, but I hope you guys don't mind. My apologies if some of the commentary is a bit rough. I always struggle with this part of the video, and I usually do these unscripted, so sometimes it's just me jumbling around. And I'm also doing this a bit sleepy. It's sort of late at night, so just bear with me, and hopefully you can just enjoy the building section. The last thing I wanted to do was get the terrain around the build really blending together. I wanted to tie the build into the ground, make it feel like it's connected with nature around it, and that is where it came around with the mushrooms. I ran into a problem with having too much of the mushroom grass blocks around, and it was changing the biome over to the mushroom biome, which I didn't really like. It made it dark. But I thought, instead of hating it, why not add some extra elements to that and make some giant mushrooms? Almost make the scene look quarantined, or such as the building over to the right is a research facility for that biome, which I'm glad I did because that tiny area with the two mushrooms is probably my favorite part in this build. Hopefully my commentary wasn't too horrendous. Anyhow, let's get on to the showcase. I really loved working on this build. I had a fun time trying to mess around with the alien aesthetic. Part of the reason I did this build the way I did is because I wanted to leave a lot of room for editing, and I wanted to leave a lot of room for imagination. I wanted to keep this a bit more simple since I was doing a video on it and I'd already spent a lot of time working on the build. But that being said, this is definitely something I would love to come back to and work more on in the future. The cultist spawn is what sparked off this video, and what better way to end this showcase than with that. I much appreciate all of you watching, as well as all of your support over this break, so to speak. Knowing you guys still really enjoy the channel really helped and helps me stay motivated. Now I want to talk about download information. A lot of you guys have asked me to do this. I've done it for one build in the past, but I do hope that you guys are excited about this, at least. I really wanted to put this build particularly up for download because the experience of running through it doesn't match looking at a screenshot. I've looked at screenshots of it, and even then I feel kind of underwhelmed, but personally just walking through the build, I just really enjoyed walking through it, and I want you guys to get that experience as well. Eventually I want to put up other worlds for download too, and I think that's just a cool thing to get into. So to download the world, it's pretty simple, but I'll walk you guys through quickly. I'll post a link in the description, or the comments as well, that'll send you over to a Google Drive. Once there, hopefully, if I set everything up right, you'll be in a folder with or where other builds will go in the future. Find the Lunatic Research Facility folder, open that. Once you're in, just right-click the world and select download. After downloading, copy the world, then you'll need to locate your Terraria world file, which will be in Documents, My Games, and Terraria, and then right there should be a world file. Paste it there, and after doing that, the world should be there when you load up the game. I just hope that you guys enjoy these, so if you have trouble with downloading the worlds, you can contact me on Discord and I'd be happy to help. I loved working on this video. The build was an absolute blast to tackle, got to experiment with so many things, definitely learned a lot. Really looking forward to doing other builds similar to this style. Hopefully, smaller scale. This has been a wonderful experience and I hope you guys had fun hanging out. Thanks for watching, get creative and stay inspired. I will see you all next time. Peace.